Hello and welcome to the Financial Time Travelers Podcast. This is episode 6, Saving for Smedgification. I did my extra radio voice at the end there. You know where you do the roll? Yeah. Yep, you're good. You do the roll. All right.
Looking forward to this one.
You hyped?
All right. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
High fives all around.
Okay.
Very good, Johnson.
We're going to try and get some kids into college.
I like that goal.
Yeah?
You know what I like about you?
Right.
Everything.
Positive.
Mostly that you look like me.
Mostly.
Think like me. Have great sense of style.
Mm-hmm.
Also the firepower in the brain waves to move mountains. Today, we wanted to address a topic that I have been getting a lot recently because I have 2 children, one on the way, one in the bun, one in the oven. Hopefully it'll be delivered soon.
And Caleb's asking, Dad, you do have enough money for me for college, right?
He's not asking that. Caleb's going to be much better off than I am. He's going to be like me times 100.
Is that why he's starting his own company?
He is, yeah. He has his shameless plug. He's starting his own YouTube channel. He made a blind call. This is a funny story. I didn't know that he made this telephone call.
Yeah,
but he stole my phone from me, used Siri. He's 7 years old.
Yeah.
Used Siri and said, Siri, call Uncle Anthony.
Right.
Calls Uncle Anthony, who's an incredible artist.
Right.
Tells him he wants to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
Called Diamond Dragon because his favorite YouTuber, these kids, they don't even watch TV shows anymore.
Right.
They just watch quick shorts. His favorite YouTuber's Dan the Diamond Minecart. So he liked watching like Minecraft videos.
Okay. All right.
So he wanted to be the Diamond Dragon. He talked to Anthony. He said, Uncle, I need you to draw me a logo and I need it done now. And he's like, well, I'll get it done by Sunday. He said, okay, I'll give you. He only had like $10, and so he said,
"No, he was only going to tell him he has $10. He has more than that.
He has a budget. Like he has a whole budget of things he wants to spend on.
But he does
his budget
have way
was like
more
$10.
than that.
So he's like, I'll give you $2. He said, I'll do it for $4. He said, okay, $3. Have it done on Sunday. So, anyways, they agree to it. He tells him what he wants.
So Anthony agrees to $3. He started at $5.
I still don't know any of this is happening.
Okay, all right.
The next day, he calls him back again. So it's like Friday. Thursday, he called him. Then Friday, he called him back. And he's like, hey, are you done with it yet? I want to see it. He's really excited.
Do I get a draft?
Exactly. And he says, no, I'm not done. He's like, all right, well, I want it done by tomorrow now.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so he's stepping up the deadline.
Yeah. He's like, I want it done tomorrow, and I want it done for $2. Because he changed his mind.
He wants it done sooner
$3
for less.
Yes. Because $3, he's like, you know what? I got buyer's remorse. Yeah. That's way too much to spend on a logo design.
Yeah.
And he said, whoa. Yeah, what happened to Sunday? He's like, well, if you get it done by Sunday, then I'm only $1. It's like, wait. So you move up my deadline and you're taking my money away? He's like, yeah, deal with it, basically. So anyways, he got it done. I think Anthony...
And I saw it. It's way cool.
It's super cool. Yeah. I think Anthony ended up getting paid like $2.73.
Yeah. Probably counted out the pennies, too.
Really. The moral of the story is, although I am saving for college, and each kid I have, I kind of, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the total amount of costs.
Right.
As the econ that I am, of what their total cost from 0 to 18 is going to be, and then going off to college, and then you got to price in things like the extracurricular stuff. What do I want to help him with?
Maybe we should have Caleb call the college before you enroll and tell him what he's willing to pay them.
Yeah. And if you need to enroll me now.
Yeah.
And I want a price cut.
And if I don't get these classes, it's going to be, I'm paying you less.
I'm paying you less.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to deal with it.
All right. So we want to get kids into college.
Exactly.
And there's several ways to do it.
Right. So
saving. Actually, let's clarify. Getting your kid into college, that's not our job. What we're going to help you is how to save the money to be able to afford the college for your kids.
And this is a topic that I've been asked so many times because I'm in the world currently of, little leagues, soccer leagues, all these different extracurricular activities, basketball, parkour. You're always around young people. They know I work in finance. So they say, first thing they ask me, and friends my age that are now having kids, I want to save for college. What's the best path?
Right.
So I thought it would be a good topic for us to talk about.
Right.
In particular, I know a lot of the accounts that you have managed kind of in like a subsidiary account or ancillary kind of to the business.
Right.
You set up their individual accounts, maybe their retirement accounts, but then they'll also have a 529 or a UGMA or a UTMA.
Right. We'll be talking about
So
these.
let's unpack that a little bit. Let's get straight to it. What are the key differences for you? Which ones do you like in your 30 plus years of experience in the financial service industry? Which ones have you seen through to where the kids are finally in college and utilizing the money that they have experienced that this is the best product for me?
Right. So let's start at the very basics of why a parent is even interested in this topic at all.
Okay.
So,
like, what are the incentives for them to be interested in
exactly.
using these vehicles?
Why not just keep the money in your checking account? You know,
why
make
not
this
just
so
save the money?
complicated? 529, UGMA, and all that. So the number one objective, which has been largely taken away, which is kind of interesting, is that years ago you could put money into an account that's in your child's name, and then all the earnings and profits from that account were taxed to the child.
How many years ago was this?
In the 90s.
Okay.
And so the child is in a zero tax bracket, right? So basically the only income that they had is what was made in that gift account. So let's unpack some of these acronyms. So UGMA, UGMA.
Hold on. Shout out to my man Nick. He let me know that it's only an acronym if it's an actual word. If it's not a word, it's initialism. Oh, sorry, I had to distinguish that. It's pretty cool. Shout out to my man Nick.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right. So the initials.
The initialism
of UGMA is Unified Gifts of Minor Account. So it's a unified gift to a minor, and it's an account. The account is in the name of the minor, but when you go to the bank or to the brokerage account to set up an account, you are the custodian. Right. The minor is the owner of the account. But while that minor is a minor, someone has to have legal authority over managing that account, buying and selling, opening the account, closing the account. And that has to be by an adult, 18 years or older. And that's where the parent comes in. So the parent is the custodian.
Or we call it fraud.
And so the parent is a custodian, usually the giftor, the grantor of the money into this account.
I think that's a better layman's term. Giftor, grantor. It makes more sense.
Grantor,
custodian is like, what does that really
Custodian
mean?
is the person that's responsible for making decisions.
Not a janitor.
Yeah. So the motivation years ago was that you transfer some monies. It was never a lot of money because gifts were $5,000 is all you could give to a child. Now it's $14,000 per parent per child.
You're not getting taxed on.
Right. And the gift is a non-taxable event, by the way. A lot of people don't know this. So if you write a check for $14,000 and put it into this Unified Gifts of Minors account that you set up at a bank or a brokerage account, that's not a taxable event to the child. It's not a tax deduction to you. Right. But any earnings on that money from now on in that account will unfortunately revert back to you as the grantor up until the child age of 19, which is kind of interesting because they become of age of 18. But so if you keep
in some states,
but the objective here is to be able to kind of build a forced savings plan that you have some money built up in the child's account, in the child's name.
The child can accept this $14,000 from anybody. So a husband or the father can give 14, the wife can give 14, the grandparent can give 14.
Anybody. Right. And it doesn't have to be 14. It can be $100, it can be $500, but
the
not
max.
to exceed $14,000.
But the confusion comes in when people say, okay, the child received more than $14,000, but he's not the one who's giving tax. Like you said, it's the grantor who's the giver.
Right.
The giver is the taxable event at this point.
Right.
Until later on when they actually remove the money.
Right.
But if you gave over, $15,000 to somebody, it's on the grantor.
Yeah. So typically you'll put investments in here that are longer term appreciating type of assets, not income oriented investments, because the money is for down the road when the child is ready to go to college or when they become 19, the account can terminate. Which is a forced termination. So Unified Gifts of Minors accounts, they terminate at age 18, which means at age 18, that minor has now full access. It's now their account. It just simply goes to them.
No, the account isn't terminated, just kind of the structure
of it. Very good. So the structure of the Unified Gifts of Minors account is now eliminated because there's no custodian, there's no grantors. There's none of that. It's now just their money.
Their money.
And so just a side note.
It's a trust.
Yeah. What's that?
It's a trust that's waited for them, and now they are the trustees.
So it's not a trust, but it functions like a trust.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I meant.
Because we are going to talk about unified trust managed accounts. But,
right.
But anyway, so with this UGMA...
that's a T for transfer.
The initial...
It's not for trust.
Yeah.
So in the UGMA, the Uniform Gift
of Minors account. So the objective is that you're building up this account. It's sort of a set-aside account. You can tell your family and friends that I've got this account set up for my children, and it's for their savings. At age 18, it becomes theirs. Now, I've had some clients say to me, and they were going to fund a fair amount into that account. Two parents, right? So that's $28,000, 10 years, $280,000, and they're a 5-year-old. And they don't know what that 5-year-old's going to be like at 18.
If he's going to be a certified online gambling addict. That's my online gambling fund.
Which instantly becomes theirs at age 18. So they said, what do we do about this? Because, or we can go to the attorneys and set up trusts within our living trusts or other types of trusts. What's a way we can kind of circumvent this? And I said, they only can do what they know. So if the child doesn't know you have this UGMA, it stays in existence. Now, they have to avoid this staying in existence indefinitely.
Really cool surprise. Hey, by the way.
Yeah. They used to stay in existence till age 25. Now some states bring it down to age 19. So now so the IRS, of course, have looked at this. A lot of wealthy families have utilized unified gifts and minors accounts very effectively. They've eliminated a lot of the potential of the things. But what it is really is a way to separate some money and say that it's for the child. That's what the unified gifts and minors account requires. No attorneys, requires no documents, no trust documents. It's very simple. You can open up with a bank account. You can open up with a brokerage account.
You can go anywhere to a traditional institutional retail spot. You can walk into your TD Ameritrades, your Fidelities, whatever you're comfortable with, the major retail shops, investment shops, low expense, get it set up, taken care of. Some people maybe go to Vanguard or something like that, whatever you like.
Right. Now, the UTMA, Uniform Transfer of Minors account, this has a little more flexibility, typically terminates at age 25. Now, you have to look at your states. Each state has different nuances in these details.
Such as Maryland, Washington.
Right. And so it's very similar structure. You have a custodian. You have a grantor that grants the money. Same gift allowance is the same. And by the way, you can gift that $14,000 to anybody, anytime, anywhere. So a lot of families utilize gifting as a way to transfer money.
Yeah, and you can do it anywhere. So like say one person has the money in the family. Here's a little lesson in money laundering. How about you gift it to somebody else who then gives it back to the kid?
Who starts an internet company and is now worth millions of dollars.
Bingo!
Because they only pay $2 for their logos.
This is not advice. This is education. Okay.
Yeah. Now, so that leads us, so the UTMA is very similar. Again, it terminates typically at age 25, so you have a little more money time to work with the child. The money that comes out after age 18 is taxable to that child. So if you've accumulated some taxable gains, long-term capital gains, you push it until their taxable event.
When they take the money out.
Right, when they take the money out.
When
or whatever it earns. Whatever it earns, too.
What's your favorite joke about taxes? And
the difference between tax avoidance and tax deferral is 25 years in jail. But anyways, you can defer the tax.
I wish this robot could clap. We didn't get the clapping one with the cymbals.
Yep.
Hey.
So
that's a monkey. It's not a robot.
As these rules continued to get squeezed down and taking out a lot of the advantages of them, then we had the beginning of the 529 accounts. That's a section of the IRS Code 529, in which they created these 529 accounts. Each state has its own charter. So there's 50 different charters of the 529 accounts. Each state is differently.
So what happens if you move?
You don't have to be a resident of that state. You can look
Which is helpful.
You can look at the documents and the terms of each state's custodial account, and so like Maryland versus California versus Texas, they have different maximum amounts that the accounts can accumulate to. They have maximum amounts that you can put into them.
Oh boy!
Every
What's
state
the simplest
is different
way? Because I have a feeling that not everybody is going to want to read into the IRS code of their individual jurisdictions.
So this is it was really sort of a
a wild
the
guess.
equivalent of a land grab. So when the Congress passed the 529 ruling,
gerrymandering,
only one custodian. I don't know how this got passed, but only one custodian was allowed per state. So Vanguard or American Funds or Fidelity. So they immediately started.
Dang.
Yeah, and only one. Right, so when you look at the different custodians, whether it's Vanguard, American, or TD Ameritrade, or if they have one, you look at what their document looks like, and so let's say Fidelity bought Iowa,
right?
So then they created their own document.
That sounds like a great opportunity for grease money.
So they're pretty much all the same or very similar. So it's not going to be based on, I'm going to look up 50 documents. What you're really going to do is say, I want to put my money in Vanguard, or I want to put my money into Fidelity, or I want to put my money into...
What you're comfortable with.
Right, exactly.
And what you're managing. And if you have multiple accounts, most people, when they set up a 529, UTMA, or UGMA, it's going to be something, as I said in the beginning, where they already are sophisticated investors in a sense
that they...
maybe not sophisticated in the typical definition, but they have experience with an investment account, or whether that is their 401k.
Yeah, it's a good way to start. You can open up any of these accounts with $100.
Well, absolutely, but maybe you might. What I'm getting at is, if you already have an account somewhere, you might just want to set it up at the exact same spot so that you can easily manage it, and you're not having 1,000 logins on your spreadsheet.
Yeah, and so that's another difference, is that in passing this ruling, they didn't want parents to have access to the money or
in a 529
or really actively manage it.
Right.
So typically you can only change your account allocation. Some charters is once a year. Some are twice a year, 4 times a year. They're typically a very limited selection of mutual funds that you can put your money into.
Right.
And so for this, you say, okay, wow, there's a lot of restrictions there. And one other restriction is money can only come out tax-free if the money is distributed and spent for a specific list of college expenses.
Right.
And the way this goes about is that your child is in college, you have, let's say, $50,000, $100,000 in this 529 account that is accumulated, is that you have, you pay the expenses. Some will allow direct billing, but you have this expense that is paid for books or tuition, and then you apply to be reimbursed or for that expense to be paid for. If it's an expense that's not on the list of approved expenditures and the money comes out of the 529, it's penalty and or taxes.
Right.
It's definitely taxes, may not be a penalty, depending on how long it's in the 529 account. So then the question is wow, so I'm putting my money in this 529 account for Tom and Sally, and what if Sally becomes brilliant, gets a full ride, and I've got these two 529 accounts? Well, now you can change the beneficiary and move it all into Tom's account. So Tom now has two 529 accounts.
Right.
What if Tom doesn't
go to college?
And decides that he's going to do something else?
He became an online gambler with his UGMA account.
Right. Yeah, he did so well with that, right? And so then what you can do is that you can name a nephew, you can name a friend, you can name anybody. It doesn't have to be a family relation. You can name your spouse. And this is another fun piece of information.
Okay. Throw it out there. Let's have fun.
This list of qualified expenditures that will allow the money to come out of 529 be tax-free. So backing up a little bit, we didn't cover this. So the money that goes into 529 is not tax deductible. So it's like a gift, but it's not tax deductible. But unlike the UGMA or UTMA, when the money comes out of a 529 in qualified expenses, all of the earnings and profits are distributed tax-free. So that's a very nice advantage, is that the money accumulates tax-free.
So it's kind of like a Roth style of taxation process for a different...
Yeah,
you're taxed up front.
We'll cover Roths
you're
in
not
another
taxed
segment,
on the back
but
end.
yes,
absolutely
right. And so yes, that's absolutely right.
So I'm getting the feeling that
I
have
didn't get my little tidbit.
Get the fun stuff. Inject it, baby.
So this is
it's
where
like stuffing in a turkey.
What if Sally doesn't need the money? She's got a full ride. She's brilliant.
Right.
Tom doesn't need, because he starts his own internet business. So now, and you're not really terribly interested in giving $100,000 to a nephew. I mean, they're sweet, they're good looking, but you're not going to give them $100,000.
Bummer.
And you decide, you know what? I'm going to name
Unless
the new
you're that cool
beneficiary
rich
is
uncle.
my spouse.
Okay.
And there's a lot of quote-unquote colleges that you can go to, culinary school,
Oh, yeah.
sailing, golf.
It's continuing ed.
Continuing ed, it's under that category. And now you and your spouse are going to culinary school for free because you're pulling the money out tax-free. It's not really for free
it's
because
your
you
money.
put your money. But
Yeah. But you can use it. What you're getting at is as long as you use it for educational purposes
right, exactly.
within the family,
Right.
you can still utilize that money if your kids don't end up seeing their educational career through into higher ed.
So there is some flexibility with 529 plan. It's always been my counsel with clients is to be a little conservative with how much money. I've had clients because you can put in $140,000. You can lump it all in. You can do a 5-year contribution.
If you both do it.
Right. So $14,000 times 5 is $70,000. 2 spouses is $140,000. You can dump, and I have many clients that could just write a check for $140,000 and put it in.
Ooh, we just math so hard.
Yeah, and then then that grows over 10, 15 years, right? So they're looking at that going, wow, we could be building literally the proverbial building a sailboat in the garage without any way of getting it out the door, right? Because it's so big and it comes out for $100 for that, for books, and $1,000 for, it'll never shrink. So yes, I have been advising clients to be somewhat conservative, split the money between a UGMA or a UTMA account, or set it up with the 529 plan, but not putting all your eggs in, all of the savings into a 529 plan because you may not be able to get the money out fast enough.
Yeah, I've seen a few of your clients kind of have some different college educations. We won't cover it, but several savings accounts plans, some of them having a higher account balance. I feel like the UGMA side is a little bit more, or the UTMAs are a little bit more flexible if you really want that child to get the money.
Right.
No matter what.
And a lot of what we've talked about, that was 3 ands, right? And no, it's 2. But what we're talking about in 401k plans, and we're going to get to this in other segments, a lot of education experience in how you manage your 401k, the mutual funds, the asset allocation, that also applies to UGMA, UTMA, and 529 accounts. And the same type of asset allocation, the same type of investment strategies can apply in this.
Which might be helpful if you have them all in the same place. Similar investments. If you have a stellar 401k, that can kind of be your lead because it's your biggest chunk of change.
Right.
And then you log into your other accounts, you make the same changes, maybe rebalance at the same time, or try different strategies.
Right. So we're going to cover that in future segments. Now, if my memory serves you tonight, you have a high school.
Speaking of Caleb, I'm going to a 2nd grade orientation. They're going to give homework 2 weeks out in advance.
He's probably tapping the counter. Where is Dad? I've got this meeting to get to.
Ooh, I'm 5 minutes past late.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope this helped. We'll probably cover it again in a future episode.
Yep.
If you have any questions, let us know. We'll answer those questions on future podcasts. You can find us at financialtimetatraveler.com. Go to the About section. You'll find our email. Podcast tab. All of our podcasts are there.
And we're on iTunes.
iTunes, video rolling out. We're on all the major media platforms, social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
I got to start checking this stuff out.
SoundCloud. You should get a handle.
I should.
You're on LinkedIn.
I know.
Killing it with all of your connections.
Right.
And so you can find us there. We look forward to it. Coming up next, episode 7 of Financial Time Travelers Podcast. I am Nyle Bayer. He is Anton Bayer. And remember, decisions today, change tomorrow's. Fist bump.
Wow.
All right, cue the music. Let's roll it.